Sasha stared down the vacant and now empty hospital corridors, now heavy with foreboding. Sasha's unusual blue, vibrant eyes scanned the empty hallway. She could swear, at the end of the gloomy corridor, stood a shape too impossible to define. It had form and shape, but was the color of the darkest of nights, like that of a silhouette as dark as the blackest night in recorded time. It stood as tall as a human, had a cadence in its slight movements like a human, doing its best to be still, but it was not absolutely still, and it was absolutely not human. "Hey, you okay?" Sasha was startled by both the words coming from behind her and the grip on her shoulder. Sasha spun around in a quick motion to find one of her coworkers, a nurse also on duty like Sasha, Carol. Sasha began to explain what to her was unexplainable, but when she turned around to point in the direction of the shadowy mass that she had seen only a moment prior, it wasn't there. Upon inspection, the thing had simply vanished, as if it had never been there at all. Nothing, I suppose," Sasha said with uncertainty. "Hey, I know you're going through something. You mind telling me what it is?" Carol asked Sasha. "It's nothing, really." Sasha reassured her, but she was lying through her teeth. Once satisfied with the conversation, Sasha made her way to the lockers, exchanged some items with her belongings, and prepared for her departure from work. Her shift was over for the day. Sasha drove a desolate back road, shrouded in the cover of night. The world around her sped past her in the darkness. Only the road beyond the hood of the car shone illuminated with the glow of the headlights. The air seeping in through the small gap in the driver's side window tasted cool and sweet. The monotonous droning of the engines and tires facilitated a relaxation that Sasha needed desperately. She hadn't been sleeping well at night, nerves too racked to eat properly, and her relationship with her boyfriend had become strained. The root of it all residing in the information that she had received only a few days prior. But before true respite from stress and fear had taken hold, Sasha spied a familiar figure standing tall and dark, dead center in her headlights. Again, it was a mass, shadowy, flowing, yet solid. Sasha blinked her eyes, hoping the thing would disappear as it had done the last time. After a hard wince, Sasha reopened her eyes. To her dismay, the figure had not vanished or even moved. The being was now mere feet from the front of her car. Sasha jerked the wheel, attempting to swerve around the thing before colliding with it. However, her speed was too great. Her tires drove over a small patch of wet leaves, and her momentum was too much. Inertia carried the weight of the car, despite Sasha's best efforts, and slammed head-on into a large tree adjacent to the desolate, dark back road. A man with bright green eyes rushed in through the hospital doors and ran up to the front desk, trying to ascertain the whereabouts of his beloved Sasha. "This can't be happening," was the single repeating phrase echoing within his mind without cessation. It seemed as though God himself had cursed them and cursed her. Only a few weeks ago, Sasha had been diagnosed with cancer, malignant, treatable, but the prognosis was poor. He had had a hard time dealing with the fact that his beloved may actually die. And now, this, a terrible car accident with no apparent cause. While the man pondered these things, their past, their future in the waiting room, a team of nurses and surgeons were working tirelessly on Sasha and her countless injuries. It was hours before someone entered the waiting room from the other side, opposite where he had entered. A man in medical garb and brow soaked in sweat sat next to him. As he began to speak, saying that they did all they could for her, Sasha's beloved's heart dropped. Sasha was dead. The street was busy outside, but the day was clear, yet his vision blurred by the onslaught of tears that seemed to have no end. Looking both ways, he stepped into the street, noted more than enough time to cross. After 2 steps, the man noticed something odd in his peripheral, his blurry vision. Turning his head, his gaze was met with a tall, black, shadowy mass. Keeping his attention for only a few seconds, he never saw it coming. Inside the hospital, a stretcher rolled through the hallway with urgency. The injuries were severe, and the outcome grim. Unfortunately, a second life would be lost that day, cut short in the prime of its existence. But no one gave much thought to the 2 nurses at the other end of the hospital, fawning over 2 newborn babies, male and female, one having eyes the most unusual shade of blue, the other a brilliant green.